I barely moved. Hit me.
Classic Star-Lord.
This is more like it. After a surprisingly average premiere, Marvel's What If finds much more success as it leaves 1940s Earth for the cosmos. While the alterations made to the sacred timeline in the premiere felt a little more nuanced, Episode 2 goes for broke in the ways it plays with our understanding of integral MCU players. That leaves us with a rollicking 30 minutes of TV, which, through no fault of its own, is tinged with the unavoidable melancholy that comes with hearing the late Chadwick Boseman perform T'Challa for the first time since his passing. This episode posits a world in which Yondu outsourced Peter Quill's abduction to Kraglin, who instead of snatching Quill, accidentally grabs the Prince of Wakanda instead. The Watcher bridges the gap between the abduction and the present day by detailing the influence T'Challa's unimpeachable moral compass had on a universal scale, as he grows into the renowned Star-Lord that Quill had deluded himself into thinking he was at that time in his career. While I still have significant reservations about what if casting MCU actors to reprise their roles in this animated series, where experienced voice actors might work better, Boseman's performance is an absolute joy. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and with that mantle light years away, this T'Challa is a flirty, gregarious badass. Boseman sinks his teeth into this new characterization and brings refreshing lightness to T'Challa, which is frankly inspiring in light of what he was going through when he recorded. The other MCU vets voicing their characters have mixed success, though the quality of their performances is better overall this week. I gave What If's premiere credit for its restraint in diverging too far from MCU history out of the gate for the sake of warming casual viewers up to the multiverse. This episode sits at the other end of that spectrum and feels like a way better fit for the show's format and style. T'Challa has reformed the Ravagers into a much less dysfunctional group of Galaxy Guardians who are more or less all on the same page about their benevolent missions. That's especially shocking, given who T'Challa's got working as his Draxian muscle. Credit where it's due. Having Josh Brolin stop by to voice a redeemed Thanos in just the second episode is bold. And this Thanos has got some big dad energy, cracking jokes and showing genuine affection for his crewmates and adopted, as they'll remind you, daughter Nebula.
Pretty sure it's still just genocide, big guy.
And I'm pretty sure it's efficient.
Oh, and do the Ravagers make jokes about Thanos' original plan to save the galaxy with genocide? No, of course not. Do they crack multiple jokes about it? Yeah, definitely. The first one had that hallmark bite of caustic humor which defined the Guardians as we know them, but by the third mention, it's just a tired bit. Nebula enlists T'Challa's help in tracking down the Embers of Genesis, a world engine MacGuffin currently in the hands of the man who filled the power vacuum Thanos left behind, the Collector, who is absolutely shredded now. He's collecting gains. With an even more flamboyant personality and an arsenal of famous MCU weaponry to defend himself, the Collector's a fun foe for T'Challa and the Ravagers to battle, and those moments of action again prove to be a highlight of What If's execution. The cosmic setting really works better for What If's art style than the drab World War II era Earth we got last week, with the vibrant colors of James Gunn's Guardians films popping nicely across both action and exposition. That, coupled with the story's breakneck pace, give this episode great momentum that it carries through to the end. What If is still playing its cards close to the chest when it comes to what degree these new pocket universes will be interacting with one another. Just like last week, this episode's final scene hints towards a grander play, with a pair of cameos resulting in a new power dynamic to keep an eye on as these disparate timelines inevitably start to drift closer to one another. Watto's repeated insistence that he can't or won't interfere with the events unfolding sounds more and more unlikely. Methinks the Watcher doth protest too much. After a premiere which stumbled out of the gate, Marvel's What If makes a course correction in its second episode with a breathless space caper. Chadwick Boseman's take on T'Challa as Star-Lord crackles with infectious enthusiasm, and better voice acting and visuals across the board give this episode a more cohesive feel. With multiple plot threads begging to be picked up and bolder changes to our conception of MCU history, What If's second episode is a much more effective showcase of where the show could go in the future. Or the past. What is time anymore? Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our review of What If's premiere and our discussion with the creators about Chadwick Boseman's excitement to play Star-Lord. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.